It was a big year for 3D movies. Toy Story, Despicable Me, Tron. Seems like everything this year was three-dimensional. Except the characters in The Tourist.
These 12 actors completely trashed other actors' movies, on record. One insult even cost Disney over $300 million. Peter Dinklage destroyed a Disney movie before they even finished making it. Not on purpose, but he did it. 2022, he's on a podcast and they're talking about Disney doing a live-action Snow White. Disney just announced Rachel Zegler as Snow White, really proud of themselves for casting a Latina actress. Dinklage hears this and goes, "Okay, cool. You're progressive in one way, but then you're still making that fucking backward story about 7 dwarfs living in a cave together. What the fuck are you doing, man?" Disney freaked out. They'd already planned to cast actors with dwarfism as the 7 dwarfs, but after Dinklage said that and the backlash started, they scrapped it. Replaced them with CGI. So suddenly you've got these weird digital creatures in place of actual actors, and they just look awful. That decision sent the budget into the stratosphere. The movie needed $800 million just to break even. And then, of course, it flopped at the box office. One of the biggest box office bombs ever. They fired the actors they'd already cast, spent a fortune on bad CGI, and still failed. Dinklage probably didn't mean to tank the whole production, but that's what happened. Sam Elliott has spent his entire career playing cowboys. Westerns are his entire thing. So when Jane Campion's The Power of the Dog came out in 2021, he had some thoughts. The Power of the Dog was getting Oscar buzz, tons of nominations, but Elliott absolutely trashed it. He saw the way the film handled cowboys in the American West and took it personally. Called it a piece of shit, said the cowboys all looked like Chippendales dancers, bow ties and not much else. He questioned why Campion, who's from New Zealand, was telling a Montana story and filming it in New Zealand. What the f*** does this woman from down there know about the American West? The Power of the Dog went into the Oscars with 12 nominations, only took home 1, Best Director for Campion. The movie had a $35 million budget, but Netflix barely gave it a real theatrical release. It flopped at the box office. Elliott later apologized, so credit to him for that, but he definitely didn't hold back at the time. Sean Penn had a problem with Nicolas Cage in the 90s. Cage was doing all these action movies, The Rock, Face Off, one after another. Penn and Cage had worked together years before on Racing with the Moon, and Penn felt like Cage was selling out. So he went public. Said Cage wasn't an actor anymore, just a performer. If there's anything more disgusting in the movie business, it's the whoredom of my peers. It's a guy's arm coming out of the screen and jerking you off. I prefer to do it myself at home than have some guy contriving wet dreams for me. Con Air was a massive success, though. Made over $200 million worldwide on a $75 million budget. Had this stacked cast with Cage and John Cusack and John Malkovich. Cage responded in an interview later just saying, "He's paying a little too much attention to my career, I think. I'm not thinking too much about what he's doing. Probably the classiest way to handle it." Orson Welles had this weird thing about Hitchcock. Maybe it was rivalry, maybe insecurity, who knows. But he really had it out for Rear Window, which is wild because that movie shows up on every greatest films ever made list. Welles said everything is stupid about it. Complete insensitivity to what a story about voyeurism could be. And he went further. He said the most astonishing thing about the movie was discovering that Jimmy Stewart could be a bad actor. Even Grace Kelly was better here than Stewart, who was overacting and looking to the left the whole time. Of course, Rear Window got 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Director for Hitchcock. Made over $37 million on a $1 million budget. That's almost $500 million in today's money. And even David Lynch said it was one of only 4 films in history he considered an example of perfect filmmaking. Alec Guinness called Star Wars a fantasy world of second-hand, childish banalities. When he first saw it, he thought it was fine. But as the years went by and he saw how obsessed fans got, he started to hate it. By 1999, when he wrote his memoir, he was openly calling it fairy tale rubbish. Here's the thing though, Guinness had one of the first profit-sharing deals in Hollywood. 2% of the back end, plus a 0.25% bonus from Lucas. When Star Wars hit, he made $7 million from the initial release. Then came re-releases, home video, merchandising, everything kept paying out. By 2000, his total earnings from Star Wars were $95 million. That's around $500 million today. All for about 20 minutes of screen time in a movie he publicly called secondhand garbage. He cashed every single check while talking shit about it. That's commitment. Robert Duvall was at a Hollywood Reporter roundtable in 2010 and someone mentioned directors who do endless takes. Duvall just went for it, called Stanley Kubrick an actor's enemy. I can point to movies he's done, the worst performances I've ever seen in movies. The Shining and A Clockwork Orange. Maybe great movies, but they're terrible performances. How does he know the difference between the first take and the 70th take? The whole thing's on YouTube. Watch it, just for Ryan Gosling's laughing in the background. Kubrick really did torture his actors, though. Shelley Duvall spent 13 months on The Shining, said she cried 12 hours a day for weeks. So maybe Duvall had a point about Kubrick being hard on actors. John Barrowman from Torchwood went to see that M. Night Shyamalan movie about the beach that ages you. Hated it so much he went to the cinema staff and demanded a refund. Then he got on Twitter, called it a shit movie, told everyone not to waste their money, and tagged Shyamalan directly in the post. People immediately turned on him. The movie had actually done pretty well, made $90 million on an $18 million budget. And the fact that he tagged the director just felt disrespectful to a lot of people. Also, and this is the best part, Barrowman starred in Shark Attack 3 Megalodon back in 2002. So he's maybe not the authority on quality filmmaking. He got his refund though. Michael Caine's got this thing where he's completely shameless about doing terrible movies for money. He's always been upfront about it. If a great role comes along, he'll take it. If a mediocre one shows up, fine, and if nothing good is happening, he'll take whatever pays the bills. So in 1987, Jaws: The Revenge comes out. It's the fourth Jaws movie and it's absolutely terrible, one of the worst horror sequels ever made, and Michael Caine is in it. Someone asks him about it later and Caine says he's never actually watched it, but he's heard it's terrible. Then he adds, "However, I have seen the house that it built and it is terrific." Caine got paid $1.5 million for this thing. He took his family to the Caribbean while they shot it, had a nice vacation, and then came home and openly called the movie garbage. Paul Thomas Anderson asked Burt Reynolds to be in Boogie Nights 7 times before Reynolds finally said yes. And the second Reynolds saw a rough cut of the finished film, he fired his agent. Reynolds went on talk shows later and said the subject matter made him uncomfortable.
After the movie was done, before he had even seen it, you wanted to hit the director, Paul Thomas Anderson. You wanted to hit him in the face.
No, I didn't want to hit him in the face. I just wanted to hit him.
Reynolds refused to promote the movie, wouldn't do interviews, wanted nothing to do with it. And this is while he's getting a Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination for his performance. People thought he'd win the Oscar, but there were rumors he lost because he'd publicly trashed the film. Boogie Nights is now considered one of the great films of the 90s. Tarantino called it Anderson's masterpiece. Even Kubrick supposedly liked it, and Reynolds spent years saying how much he hated being in it. One of the best moments from Ricky Gervais hosting the Golden Globes was when he just went after The Tourist. He looked right at Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie and said it was a big year for 3D movies. Toy Story, Despicable Me, Tron. Seems like everything was three-dimensional except the characters in The Tourist. That pretty much summed up what everyone was thinking. The whole thing with The Tourist was supposed to be a slam dunk. You take two of the sexiest actors in the world, put them together in a glossy thriller, and the chemistry writes itself. Except there was no chemistry. Depp and Jolie apparently hated each other so much during filming that he'd hide in his trailer between takes. But the movie made almost $300 million, so at least the studios were happy. Brian Cox wrote a memoir a few years ago, and he used it to absolutely torch Johnny Depp's entire career. Cox had been offered a part in the first Pirates of the Caribbean. The governor role that Jonathan Pryce ended up playing, he turned it down. And then years later, he's writing this book and decides to explain why, which turns into him calling Depp overrated. Pirates of the Caribbean is very much the Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow show. And Depp, personable though I'm sure he is so overblown, so overrated. I mean Edward Scissorhands. Let's face it, if you come on with hands like that and pale, scarred face makeup, you don't have to do anything. And he didn't. And subsequently, he's done even less. Now here's what makes this funny. The Pirates franchise made $4.5 billion, and at some point Depp negotiated himself a deal where he got a percentage of the profits. So while Brian Cox is calling him overrated, Depp made hundreds of millions of dollars playing a drunk pirate. There was this stage actress named Tallulah Bankhead who people said inspired Cruella de Vil, but the character that really got under her skin was Margot Channing in All About Eve because she was supposed to play that role and didn't get it. Bette Davis did. Losing the part was bad enough, but then Bankhead watched the movie and became convinced Davis had stolen her entire personality, her hair, her voice, the way she moved, everything. Like Davis had studied her and turned her into a character. Someone asked Bankhead on her radio show if she'd seen All About Eve. She said yeah, every morning when she brushes her teeth. Then she told people she was going to pull out every hair in Davis's mustache when she got her hands on her. All About Eve won 6 Oscars. Davis's performance is considered iconic, and Bankhead never became a movie star. She's mostly remembered for inspiring a Disney villain.